Hello and welcome to the Viva la Vulva podcast. I am your host, Dr. Kara Quant, and my mic is not cooperating right now. But I am your host, Dr. Kara Quant, and I want to welcome you to the podcast. And I have a special guest on the podcast. Her name is Diana Caribe, and she is a psychologist that is located out of Tulum, Mexico. She is also a spiritual activist and founder of Empodera. And you have to pronounce that because I don't think I pronounced it right, but it's a mental health center located in the town of Tulum. And her mission is to help achieve mental peace, offering science-based interventions and therapies like mindfulness practice. She also she believes now is important to evolve our consciousness to contribute to the evolution of planet Earth. And human beings are meant to connect with nature and find freedom within. She puts nature and the expansion of consciousness with a therapeutic purpose designed to improve your well-being. So so Diana, thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you. Hi, I'm glad I'm here. Thank you for
Yes.
having me here.
Thank you. And I wanted to let the listeners know how we met. So I recently visited Tulum, and a friend of mine, Osama, who we went to medical school with, or who I went to medical school with, he actually put me in touch with Diana and her experience through Airbnb. And it is a mindfulness meditation experience where she basically takes people through the cenote and caves and does an experience where she does mindfulness meditation. And I thought that that was absolutely brilliant because it's not only you're not only a psychologist, but you're also putting together an experience that is not in the clinic and it's in nature. And I just felt like that nature has so many healing properties, and I think that that was brilliant how you put them together. So I did the experience, and I came out just feeling different, more inspired, empowered, and just very supported by nature. So I thank you so much for putting that experience together.
Thank you. Thank you so much for opening your heart, opening your mind, and just showing up to the experience. I always find like that's the first step, to be open, to be willing to just let go of fear, let go of uncertainty, letting go of expectations sometimes, and once people are already there and just being themselves and open to whatever it's going to happen in experience, I think like that's the most valuable thing you can learn at least in the experience that I do, just showing up, which I think it's like the first lesson that the experience shows you, that it gives you. And it's something that applies in general life, just showing up once you're already there, like the rest is just up for you to be open and explore and enjoy, So I always find like that's the best opportunity that people got. And I'm really happy to do it. Like, now that I've done it for 2 years now, 2.5 years. It's been 1 year since I've done it through Airbnb, and it just connected me with the most amazing people, just like you, I'm so happy to be here because of that. I can tell you, you were hearing like this intro, and I'm thinking like, it can sometimes feel very vulnerable, to just put yourself out there with this description, showing up to the world with saying this, like I'm a spiritual activist and I'm up to changing the world, helping people thrive and evolve, and it can like we all want to do that right now. All of the
Yeah.
people, we all want to do that right now, and it's hard, to commit with that and really show up in your own daily life with that you're promoting, So it's very important, like these type of spaces that we can have to really show that part, that thing that makes it real,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
just putting nice words, or just putting it as a 1 day experience, just going deep into that and what being authentic with your purpose and your vulnerability means, So I'm really happy to be here, and I'm really happy to connect with you.
Yeah. Yes. And you are, yeah, I mean, like, I don't just bring anybody on the podcast. I mean, it is starting out. So I'm, newer name, Viva la Vulva, but I am still empowering, or what I want to do is empower the vulva in some way and uplift it. And I feel like there are stress and depression and anxiety, which rules many people's lives. And I see it on a regular basis in clinic. People coming in super stressed out from work. And I know that mindfulness meditation and meditation in general can really help to bring down the stress level, to bring down the stress response. And so that's the biggest reason why you are, I wanted you to be on the podcast, also because I was just so inspired by the experience that you did. And you are definitely showing up in the world as the person that is doing what you say you're doing, like you are helping to empower people, like you're helping to bring awareness to people, bring a certain consciousness to people. So yes, it's great.
Thank you. And I think the most inspiring and the most motivating thing to me is just like this time, like this time, this big opportunity that we have in these hard times, to really come out with different ways to perceive in life and different ways of being happy, Happiness, it's evolving. Happiness, the way that we perceive happiness and what happiness had meant throughout history, it's changing. We have a very unique opportunity right now to come out with a new definition, with new terms of what happiness means, because we have gone through so much, through so many intentions and different ways of being happy. And we're finding out like maybe it hasn't worked out as well as we intended, It's a big opportunity. And to me personally, and in my practice and in my daily life, mindfulness has been an important way on how to accomplishing that happiness. And of course, mindfulness and happiness and nature as a way, as a vehicle, to get that mindfulness state, to get that presence in life. To me, that's happiness.
Yeah. And I was going to ask, what does happiness mean to you? So it sounds like it's nature. It's
to me, it's nature. It's having a clear mind. It's being connected with your emotions, and having a clear vision of your own purpose in life. To me, like that's having a purpose doing this, and I can honestly tell you, like 100%, I'm 100% sure, like this, what we're doing right now, is the reason why I'm alive. It's what we're doing, my opportunity to be in the cenote with people, showing them my own perspective of nature, of mindfulness. That's why I'm alive,
Yeah.
And that's the reason I think I'm from Tulum, and that's the reason why I'm a psychologist. It just came out together perfectly. And I feel like this purpose, it's guiding me, and holding me through any hardship of life, through any problem that there is. And of course, I can see that I'm so sure about it because of my own practice on mindfulness and nature. Happiness, it's all about that, about being mindfully connected and enjoying nature.
Yeah. And you said that before, because I feel like mindfulness is a fairly new term. And actually, I do want to define it. Let's see, where is my notes? Mindfulness may be fundamentally understood at the state in which one becomes more aware of one's physical, mental, and emotional condition in the present moment without becoming judgmental. And I feel like that's like the key thing, without becoming judgmental, because oftentimes, I mean, I know I can usually be in my head about like, and judge many of the thoughts or the actions or whatever that I do. And so mindfulness is just taking that judgment away, right?
Exactly. Yeah. To me, like the key of mindfulness, it's being present, in the present moment, being there with acceptance, openness, curiosity. It's so important if you want to be present, just being curious of your own thoughts, of your own emotions, of the situation that you're in, without judgment. And of course, it sounds amazing and it sounds Very simple,
It sounds very simple. Yes.
very simple, but it's a practice,
Yeah.
and that's why if we already think we're doing it wrong, we're already judging the experience, and
Mhm.
you're not being mindful there
Not
anymore,
being mindful.
you know. Yes,
Man.
so it
So you were saying, so I remember during the experience, you were saying that you have already been practicing mindfulness even after it became popular. Because I feel like before, what I was saying earlier was that mindfulness has become more of like a key term that many people have used more recently. I feel like it's more popular. But you feel like you've always been doing some type of mindfulness in your own life.
Yes, that's the thing. This experience was born out, honestly, out of my own need, also. I've been doing therapy. I have my own therapy sessions and my own clients. I have my own office, my private practice in Tulum town. And
Mm-hmm.
I work with locals. I work both in English and Spanish with local people, not only tourist people.
Mm-hmm.
Or travelers. And I've been doing it maybe like working with clients for the past 4 or 5 years. And like over the first year, I started noticing I was feeling a little bit stuck being in an office, in my private practice. I love being there. I love it, but I used to spend a lot of time just with people, with walls, around me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's not really like what I feel defines me or makes me happy the most. I love being there, but I also was looking for an opportunity or a way how to be more in nature.
Yeah.
And that's how the experience was born. When I was studying positive psychology, because I have a master's in cognitive behavioral therapy, and
Okay.
then I specialize in positive psychology, which right now it's of course also very popular. It's
Mm-hmm.
the scientific study of human flourishing. So mindfulness is incorporated in the scientific study of happiness and human flourishing, of course.
Interesting. Uh-huh.
So when I was going through mindfulness in my classes, and learning about the neuroscience of mindfulness, the neuroscience of nature, how nature affects your brain, how it makes you or helps you being happier. I
Mm-hmm.
was looking at all of that and going through all of the content in the classes, and I felt very alive, very uplifted, and something clicked in me, in my mind, in my heart. I knew like there was something important there, something resonated with me very fast, immediately. When I was understanding and realizing like all of this mindfulness got something to do with my childhood spent in Tulum.
Mm-hmm.
Something about being present, about being curious, about being open, about enjoyment connected with me. Like I felt like, wait a minute, like this is basically what I've been doing all of my life since I've been a child.
Yeah.
Growing up in cenotes, growing up surrounded by water, the beautiful beaches in Tulum, the jungle. I feel very drawn to the jungle, very,
Mm-hmm.
very, very alive in the jungle.
Yeah.
And that's when I said, like, what if I open up like this same space that I spent time in, when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
this land that, I'm so glad to share because it also belongs to my grandparents. That's the place where I grew up, with
Which
all
is
of
absolutely amazing. I mean, to do an
it. Right?
experience where you grew up and your grandparents were there and you had family there, and to bring other people, guests, into this space with beautiful waters, and I mean, it's in the jungle, right? It's in
Yeah.
the caves, and I
Yeah.
mean, like it's very I'm sure it's beautiful. Like I'm sure it's nice to like be in that and be able to bring other people in.
It just adds more value to this sense of purpose that I have.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Knowing that my family and my grandparents, who are very important to me in my growth, are involved in that experience also. So
Mm-hmm.
that's when it hit me. Maybe I can open up the space and invite travelers, invite people who wants to connect with nature, connect deeper with themselves, and show them my perspective of Tulum, show them my perspective of nature and the way that I was already being mindful since I was a kid.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's how it started, out of my own need, also out of my own experience and my own way of experiencing a mindful life since I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
a girl. So yes, that's how it was born, and I'm
Yeah.
so happy to be doing
Yeah. And what, going back, what made you become a psychologist? Like, why did you want to, be a psychologist?
Okay, so also that got, of course, also to do with me, with just my own needs and my own. Since I'm a kid, I've been very curious
Mm-hmm.
about humans, just about humans. I remember me being a little child and just feeling like there was something in people that intrigued me, since I was a very, very small, very young, like really looking at people and feeling like an outsider from those dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
really, since like I remember being very young and just wondering, is this really normal? Is this how all of human beings behave?
Uh-huh.
Is this how I should behave? Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm always very intrigued and curious. So I feel like there was something that attracted me to just understanding humanity, like something about that. I think it got something to do with me feeling very attracted to nature,
Mm-hmm.
finding my own way and my own nature there, where I feel more confident and more authentic. And then after spending time with humans, it was like a little bit like, I don't know, you know. So I think it got something to do with all of that. And of course, very hard experience that I got to do when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And I experienced during all of my life a lot of emotions on vulnerability, of shame, as I was growing up, especially during my teen years.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end, like those teen years, I spent some time being depressed myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt somehow guided to help other human beings not being depressed.
Not being depressed.
Like
Yeah.
that's how my dream started. My
Mm-hmm.
my goal was to help other individuals not being depressed.
Yeah.
That's
Mm-hmm.
how it started. And so my goal and my dream was having a mental health center, but not only that, but mostly a center against depression. When I
Interesting.
when I was studying positive psychology and going through how words are important, I was thinking like maybe having a center against depression isn't as positive. Sounds a little bit depressive.
It sounds a little depressing to have a center against depression.
And also like a little bit aggressive, against depression.
Yeah.
Oh
Uh-huh.
no, we don't need to fight depression. We need to also be compassionate towards depression. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how like the words change. And I find a way how to evolve this dream into a mental health center called Empodera, where we promote consciousness and well-being.
Oh.
Consciousness is how I promote cognitive behavioral therapies.
Mhm.
Okay. And wellness and well-being, it's how I promote positive psychology. So to me, I found it's a great combination,
You found a great combination. Yeah.
great combo. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, for the patients that you see within your mental health center, are you also bringing them into the experience, or like how are you incorporating the experience that I was a part of into your practice? Or
Yes.
are you?
It depends on the kind of client.
Mhm. Mhm.
Some of them are more open, and some of them in their goals, in the goals that we have, that's something that it's involved,
Mhm.
as a plan, as a therapeutic plan. Okay. So that's how we do it. In some cases, I also do it just with local people, and locals want to experience also that part and know what is happening underground inside of Tulum, that
Mhm.
it's very important for locals also to have these experiences.
Mhm. Mhm.
And with my clients, like we just go, we do it Sometimes I do it just with couples also. It's a therapeutic process, very profound for couples also to leave that darkness and to leave that silence and to feel that connection with nature and with your partner also. It's very, very, very powerful. And I just incorporate it like that. Once they are already open, of course, I don't do anything, if people isn't open and ready to experience it.
Yeah.
Of course, with people that maybe got traumas or anxiety, maybe agoraphobia, or they're scared of darkness or afraid of just closed spaces, maybe there's clients who have phobias on insects also sometimes.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
So it can be traumatic to start with that.
Yeah.
It can be very traumatic for them to start with that, it can be more traumatic if I just expose them to that type of experience since the beginning. So it needs to come out with a plan when I work with clients.
And I was open to the experience, and I actually didn't know very much of what it was until I got there. I mean, I read the description, and my friend told me about it, and I was like, oh, this sounds great. I love meditation. I love being in nature. So this, like, this works. And then you were explaining to us how we're going to go into a cave and how we're going to have the lights on, and how, we will get deep into the cave and that we're just going to turn the lights off. And I was like, a little part of me was a little scared, like, and all types of anxiety and thoughts came up in my head about what is going to happen. Like, what is going to happen to me? Am I going to get freaked out? But then you're like, okay, don't lead with that. Don't lead with going in there knowing that you're going to be concerned or, like afraid, and just allowing for feelings to come up and kind of flow through you. Like they don't have to stay. So I enjoyed how you explained the whole process to us before actually getting in there. But I think I probably would have still done it. But if I knew what I know now, I would think maybe twice. Not saying that it wasn't bad. It was a great experience, and I would definitely do it again. But there was, there were parts of me that were very nervous about going in there.
Yes, and of course, and I think that's why, as I told you, like we're expecting that. You just talk at the beginning about anxiety, and this huge epidemic that we have with anxiety right now. We are living with anxiety all of the time. It's not that it's just triggered by that situation of being underground in a cave. Like we are living anxious now. That's the epidemic of the whole century.
Yeah.
It's just like it's so unconscious now, and we don't really stop to feel it because it's so automatic right now, and it's active all of the time. We don't really stop to feel it. It's normal now. It's part of who we are. It's
it
part
is, yeah.
of the way of modern life. So it's basically understanding also that, and it's scary, of course, to spend some time in silence and darkness, going there with that emotion that it's so hard and puts us in a vulnerable situation. Understanding we're anxious and really allowing ourselves to feel anxious. That's something that for a lot of people requires a lot.
A lot, yes, because you can very quickly take a medication. You can very quickly, turn around. Like there's many things that you can do. And as a doctor, I prescribe medications to people for anxiety, for depression. And I think, sometimes it is warranted for someone to take medication. However, I am a person that thinks both in a Western medicine sense and evidence-based sense, but I also do believe that there are alternative techniques, alternative ways of doing things, such as mindfulness, that can help someone to calm down their anxiety and depression, and for them to avoid having to take those medications.
Yes, I think that, as I told you in the experience, and something that I always tell everybody, like our anchor and in the experience, and to go through that anxiety, it's our own breathing. That's our anchor, our breath, it's a remote control to the mind,
Mm.
and that's why the experience is also very powerful, because it allows you to be conscious again of the own power that you have with you while breathing at basically any moment, any second. It's such a simple thing, but it's so powerful.
Our
Power,
breath.
our own breath.
Our own breath. Yeah.
Our own breath, bigger and more accessible, cheaper, and the only thing that is in control, constant with ourselves, since the moment that we're born to the moment that we die, the only thing there at our hand, at any moment.
Yeah.
So the experience, it's also about that, about reminding us that while we're breathing, there's always something to do.
Yeah.
Something to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And I recognized my breathing when I was in the cave and when it was dark. I remember coming back to my breath, and I remember you saying that, like just anchor yourself in your breath, like just do that. And there's times where I notice in my daily life and, seeing patients or with friends or whatever, that I have shallow breathing sometimes. I just don't take deep breaths, or I don't allow myself to take deep breaths every couple of minutes. And so there being reminded to take deeper breaths and to notice your breath, that is kind of what mindfulness is about.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
And again, it's so simple and so powerful.
It's so simple.
So
It's
simple
so
and
simple.
powerful, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's where we are right now in life, and in these times, just allowing ourselves and giving ourselves permission to be human again, to do the most natural thing that we can do, breathe, to take advantage of the most beautiful and unique source of energy that we have, what makes us so special and what allows life to be able, in this planet. Oxygen.
Yes.
Breathing oxygen, that's the most powerful thing. It's so simple, that's the reason why this planet is so beautiful and green and alive and growing through all of this, not going through all of this, growing through all of
Growing through all of this.
Oh, of course, because it's there, the power is there. And to me, that's what this conscious revolution that we promote through Empodera and my purpose, doing what I do, it's all about. Simple things that makes us human,
Yeah. And, I mean, I've been saying this before, but I really do love how you have incorporated Mother Nature and the healing properties of Mother Nature into your experiences. What are some of what you have felt from being in nature? Like, why have you incorporated it so much into your practice?
To me, as I told you, nature, it's a source of purpose, so it also becomes a source of spirituality. Okay, I think that's one of the most powerful things about nature, knowing and having that awareness that there's a higher power, there's a higher connection, once you're in the cenote and you understand the connections with the water, with the rocks, the stalactites, the little fishes, the blind fishes living under.
The blind fishes, yes, I remember them.
Blind fishes, once you understand all of that time that it's required for a place to like that to be created, and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of years, and once you understand that meteor that crashed the Yucatan Peninsula, and it got something to do with the creation of those cenotes. I mean, once you understand the bigger picture, and you see your own self, in that cave, breathing, meditating, and you understand that wouldn't be possible if a meteor didn't crash the earth, Once you understand all of that and you understand your place, in that bigger picture, to me, that's spirituality. To me,
Oh, keep going.
To me, that's understanding just your meaning in life,
Yeah.
having a meaning in life and understanding then your purpose of life.
Yeah. I was going to ask you explain to the listeners what a cenote is, because I didn't know what a cenote was until I actually went to one.
A cenote is basically a group of water, of natural water. It can be underground and it can be also outside in the surface.
Hmm.
It's water, just clean water that is being drained, through the rocks. Okay. We need to understand cenotes. We understand also that these areas, the soil is caliza rock, which is limestone. Okay, and it
Hmm.
works as a coffee filter. So basically, in this area in Quintana Roo and in Tulum, all of the water that is poured in the surface gets drained to the underground.
Hmm.
And the cenotes is that group of water that is contained through all of the water in the rain, that it's filtered through the rock. So
Hmm.
it's natural water. It's very pure, clean,
Hmm.
uh, clear water because it's always constantly moving. You know, we have one of the biggest underground rivers in the whole planet in this area.
Wow.
So it's some people say that it's the second biggest stock of water that we have left in the whole planet.
Hmm. Hmm.
So of course it's a place to me, like that's why Tulum is growing so much. It's a city of the future because we know and we need to understand how water is such an important resource and how a lot
Yeah.
of people it's already having a lot of problems with a lack of clean water.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
have all of this water, just located underground all over Tulum and the Riviera Maya and Quintana Roo and Yucatan, the peninsula.
Hmm.
You need to understand that to also understand the importance of cenotes. Cenotes
Hmm.
are a way of connecting with nature since the Mayans. And in our culture, they are just so sacred. And
Hmm.
the underground caves, the Mayans used to believe that's where our spirit goes when we die, the Xibalba. It's called the Xibalba in the Mayan culture, which is the underground. Okay,
Yeah.
a lot of meaning. There's a lot of history, and that's why also I'm so passionate about cenotes. There's
Yeah.
history, there's geography. There's spirituality, there's culture, there's so many things.
There's so many things, and I think from the experience, what I got from it was I felt like I was in such a sacred place. Like I felt like I was witnessing something that I've I've never witnessed before. Like I saw the roots of a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Like the roots of the tree were going through the cave
Mm-hmm.
into the ground and then up, on the top, on the surface of the ground. Like I that to experience that, I was like that it was just insane. Like it was insane. And I think that there's times where I was just looking around like this is unbelievable. Like this is really unbelievable what I'm seeing right now.
And there's so much presence in roots, right? So
Mm-hmm.
to me, it's beautiful to understand how you need to go through darkness to find your own roots.
Mm.
To understand, to see where our roots are coming from,
Yeah.
darkness.
Yeah.
To see that, to understand that, to acknowledge that, to be mindful about that. That to me, it's just magic. It's
It's magic.
priceless.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, there was a magical feel when I left there. I mean, or when I was actually in it, it felt like magic. It did. Yeah, it felt like I was just witnessing magic.
Yeah, and that's why there's spirituality in nature, that
Mm-hmm.
just sense of connection, that sense of transcendence, that sense of awe, that sense of just being in the presence of something bigger.
Yeah.
That that's why nature is such an important way of being mindful and just happier,
Yeah.
healthier. And I think once you also connect in that level, you understand in that level, I mean, you understand that nature got no boundaries, no rules, no borders. The beauty of nature, it's limitless.
Mm-hmm.
And you understand how we're part of this beautiful planet, and we have so many things in common. And that's why I also think it's so important to go back to nature, to again go back to our compassion. Go back to compassion. Compassion, it's so needed right now.
Yeah.
Important to go back to this important value that is just being compassionate to ourselves and to other species. Just talk about breathing, about oxygen, and that it's not only us, it's what connects us with other species.
Yeah.
And I think also by being in nature, you understand that you develop that sense of compassion with other species. And we know right now that's very important because we're losing that connection.
Yeah.
Go back and understand and remember that we're all one.
Yeah. I mean, there's times where I go on a hike or I go outside when I am feeling, usually stressed out, or just I feel like I need to clear my mind. That's what I usually do. I clear my mind in nature, and because I don't know, have a cenote that's right around the corner from me. Hiking is my thing that I do to connect with nature, and also to clear my mind from stress or anxiety that I have, or feeling anxious around something. So I do see the healing property, or I do see the healing properties of nature and being connected with it.
Yes, it's just going back to your own nature, not
Yeah.
just nature, to our own nature. And if I could like just share something or recommend something to people, it's just go out there and create your own paradise. Ask yourself, how can you nurture yourself? How can you nurture the planet? How can you add value to the planet? You can maybe be creative yourself. Be creative with your own history. Be creative with your own emotions. Be creative with your dreams. Plant a garden, buy a flower, a beautiful plant, and put it in your room, in your house, in your office. Add something from nature that makes you feel something. Create an altar, create a space to meditate. Just be art. Yeah, embody art, embody your own history in nature, and manifest yourself in your environment. It can be to the colors, to the senses, to the smells, to the forms.
Yeah.
There's just so much in nature to be creative.
Yeah.
So this, of course, this planet is for all of us to co-create it together. I think it's our responsibility right now that we all have, to create a paradise together. This is our heaven. Heaven is here, heaven is present, heaven is now, and it's about time that we take that power back,
Yeah.
and contribute to every single species and to life in general, to help this planet flourish again.
Yeah. And the my connection, or connecting Viva la Vulva and nature, I oftentimes will take pictures of vulvas in nature, of flowers, of trees, of whatever, because I mean, it's called Mother Nature for a reason, and there's vulvas everywhere. So there is a connection between the two. I do feel like there's a strong connection between the two, and we are nature. Like we are connected. We are connected in many different ways. We are made up of the same like elements. So
that's so beautiful, and I totally agree with you. Like everything, all of the forms, the juices, even, the smells, like you can connect with nature in such a sensual way, such a sensual way. And I think that's why also it's more important than ever for women to go back to nature. To go back to their nature. And I feel like modern life is distracting us so much about what is really important, right? It's misleading us, and moving us away from nature ourselves, and there's all of this information in media, about how women should look like and how we should speak like, and what being sexy, or sensual should be like, what being a woman should be like. And there's all of these standards and stereotypes, of how women should be, that it just at the end makes us feel so vulnerable, so ashamed,
Yeah.
so lonely,
Mm-hmm.
and it creates, of course, all of that depression and anxiety that you're talking about with women.
Yeah.
It doesn't help us being safe, feeling safe, and confident with the woman that we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
However big or small or, imperfections that we feel like we may have. Like,
yeah,
yes, I do. Yeah. The society, culture, like there's a lot of ideas that are put in our heads, especially women, about what we should look like. And it doesn't have to be the case. It does not have to be the case. Yeah.
exactly. And that's I think why going back to nature and being mindful about the nature that there is around us, in us, the nature that we are, it's such a revolutionary statement. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a revolutionary thought, and the revolution action, and that's where I think everything changes, that
Yeah.
we do something different about the future of this planet. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was going to say, Viva la Vulva is all about empowering and uplifting the vulva. And I truly do believe that stress and anxiety and depression can all contribute to our overall health and how we perceive our bodies, how we perceive our vulvas. And so it sounds like how some people can cope with that depression, anxiety, and so forth is by connecting with nature.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think that's very important. I'm
Mm.
definitely sure about that, just being conscious about your own presence in nature and
Mm.
how, as I told you, nature got no rules, no boundaries, no limits.
Mm. Mhm.
Every species it's different, unique, in so many different ways. So I would just recommend just connecting with that stillness, with with that soft way of nature, just relax, and trying to find a rhythm also in nature. There's
Mm.
so much rhythm in nature,
Yeah.
I think it's very important just being barefoot. I'm a huge fan of using as less as possible. It's our nature also,
Yeah.
loving our bodies,
Mhm.
accepting our bodies, and I think it's something that I see very often in the experience also. At the end, I see women feeling more confident with themselves. I mean, we spend around 4 hours in a bathing suit,
Mhm.
and to me it's like the most natural thing, just being in a bathing suit in the cenote, but I can see people be feeling uncomfortable at the beginning with that.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I can see people, I can see women especially feeling a little bit uncomfortable with that, like trying to cover their bodies,
Uh-huh.
taking care of them, like being very cautious about the way that they are going in the cenote, And at the end, I think you understand like it's a beautiful body. We spend
Mhm.
time also showing gratitude to our bodies while
Mhm.
we're in there,
Yeah.
It's been a beautiful, perfect vehicle that allows us to experience life in this planet, Just starting from there. No
Mm.
it is, having the ability of being attached to this planet,
Yeah.
to gravity, and being able to breathe, and just experiencing whatever there is in this
Yeah.
planet.
And
It's
having no judgment, right?
exactly, that's
Yeah.
just something beautiful. And I can
Yeah.
see people reconnecting with that at the end,
Mhm.
finding a way how to root themselves again. And I can see how they at the end feel very relaxed, a lot more relaxed, and connected with just that natural part of being around, water and anything that involves nature.
Yeah. So I was going to ask, what are some mindfulness practices that some of the listeners can use that you recommend to your patients, that you recommend to people that do your experiences? Like, what are some mindfulness practices?
Okay, I think I would recommend any type of activity that involves nature. It's very good. As I told you, just creating a ritual, creating an altar, in your house, in your
Mm-hmm.
bedroom, in your office, bringing a plant to your office, to your bed, adding something green, something
Mm-hmm.
green. Green is so
And not
powerful.
fake green, but real green.
Real green, real
Yeah.
green. Bring to your house,
Mm-hmm.
welcome in your house. to be more life, to bring more life in there. I would recommend maybe even like, it can sound crazy sometimes, and for people that it's not used to it, it can be weird, but just grounding yourself by hugging a tree, you know, like just spending time, to just look at a leaf in a plant, and very like really try to see it, to feel it, use your senses, even smell it. It can be so weird to smell a plant, a leaf, but just smelling it, trying to hear it, just come closer and trying to hear it, like anything you do when you're open with all of your senses open, you're adding value to any type of experience, and you're being present,
Yeah.
I think it's the most important part. That's why it's very important to be curious. Just being curious, explore, ask questions without judgment, without expecting a result, Just be there and allow yourself to explore, to have fun. Remembering there's an inner child in all of us who just wants to have fun,
Yeah.
Explore, to grow, So just hug a tree, spend some time barefoot also. It's very important, Even if you can just be naked at some point, just spend some time being naked, Give yourself a hug, We did that in the experience, you remember? And
Yeah.
powerful also, like people doesn't recognize how important and powerful it is to just hug ourselves.
Yeah. And you were saying that our brains don't know the difference between us giving our own selves a hug and somebody giving us a hug.
And that's so powerful.
I mean, because there's many times where I've needed hugs and I'm like, I don't have anyone around me to give me a hug.
Yes.
And I can just hug myself.
Yes, it's so powerful to understand that. To me, when I learned that, it was this realization that how our bodies are so perfect, so smart that they recognize our own love. Like we are designed to feel our own presence and our own love. We're designed like that. That's so powerful. I mean, I'm a huge fan of just sleeping, like doing, like pampering myself by being nice with me. Like just doing something nice, There's swapping technique, in mindfulness now, regulation, self-regulation. Just trying swapping, now there's a lot of practices on tapping also.
Yes.
There's tapping practices now, not then just breathing, with your hands close to your chest, just enjoying yourself. Just the same way that you take care of your pet, of a beloved one, of your partner, or your child,
Yeah.
Just go there and go have fun, have fun with yourself. Or be curious about your own body and touch yourself, just feel yourself and give yourself a big hug, Remembering there's also an inner child in all of us, and that inner child craves that attention.
Yeah.
Deserves that attention.
Yeah, I've actually been recently hearing a lot. I've been going to a lot of women's circles. I've been, I did your experience. There's been a lot that I have been listening to podcasts, and I've been hearing over and over again about just the importance of being present in the moment and like, self-care, listening to yourself, listening to your body. And I know that also can be associated with our vulvas, like, listening to our vulvas, listening to our bodies, listening to being curious about it. I mean, there's so many things that mindfulness can do in terms of our overall health, in terms of our vulva health, in terms of, so there's so many benefits to it.
Yeah.
There's so
Yes,
many benefits.
it's just about being curious.
Yeah.
Open, as we say at the beginning. Be curious, be open, open your heart, open your mind, and know yourself.
Yeah.
Know yourself, That's the only way how we can forgive ourselves and heal ourselves and the whole planet, That's at least that's my goal, helping individuals find flourishing in their own life. And in that way, helping the planet evolve, thrive again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's the reality. We need to do it also one by one,
Yeah.
At the end, the whole planet is just a reflection and a manifestation of who we are in the inside, because we are co-creating it,
Yes, we are definitely. And I wanted you, Diana, to bring or take us, listeners, me, through a guided meditation. Because I think that I mean, I've been raving about this experience, and anyone that goes to Tulum definitely needs to do this experience with Diana. But if you can take us through just like a minute of a guided meditation that we can do when we are feeling anxious or out of our bodies or depressed or any of those things, stressed out.
Yes, of course. We
Okay.
can try doing that. I mean, of course, the first part of always having a nice mindful moment is just checking your body first, find
Mm,
a good position to seat yourself,
mhm,
okay? Remember, even if you don't do it with just one practice, just trying to you know, going back to breathing. Maybe start taking deep inhalations through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. And again, inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your mouth. Trying to get that connection with your belly again. And as you inhale, just feeling your belly button going out. And when you exhale, feeling your belly button going in, closer to your back. Just feeling that expansion in your body and that contraction. We keep inhaling through our nose and exhaling through our mouth. And just give yourself a moment to breathe, to relax your whole body, your face. Sit there in dignity with the person that you are, feeling confident with the place that you have in this planet. Maybe soften your shoulders a little bit, align your body, your back, and take one conscious breath at a time. That's what mindfulness meditation is all about. Taking one conscious breathing in and out. Inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. One more time, we inhale in and we exhale out. Try now bringing both of your hands closer to your heart, making sure you're having direct contact with your skin. One hand on top of the other. Just give yourself one more time, just few seconds to keep breathing. And feel your body moving with you. Inhaling through your nose. And exhaling through your mouth. Just stay there for a few seconds. Enjoying a few seconds with your own self. Maybe you can try passing your hands softly to your body, through your arm, through your shoulders. Just as you were telling your body, I'm here. I'm here. I'm seeing you, body. Thank you, body. I love you so much. Thank you for all you do for me. Thank you for allowing me to experience this human experience. Thank you for being so perfect. So we inhale deeply one more time. And we exhale out. We inhale together one more time. And we exhale out. And now one last time together. We inhale deeply. And we gently start letting everything out. Now, whenever we're ready, we can start moving our bodies, releasing our hands, putting our hands in our lap, moving our neck maybe. Start moving our bodies a little bit, coming back to this moment. And whenever we're ready, we can move our shoulders a little bit, our hands. We can stretch our jaw, releasing all of that stress that sometimes is stuck in our face. Working those muscles that helps us smile. Maybe giving yourself a smile with your eyes closed. A big smile. Big smile, big breath, deep breath. Ease everything. And whenever you're ready, you can slowly start opening your eyes to come back to this very moment.
Yay! Thank you so much. That was great. That was absolutely great.
And it can be just as simple as that, you know, just remembering the most important part is just breathing in a way that represents you.
Yes.
Breathing in a way that feels natural,
Yeah.
that's not forced, you know, that allows us to experience life in a way that represents us, you know.
Yes. Oh, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So I want to leave the listeners with how they can stay in contact with you, how they can see you, how they can be involved in your experience, or just, connect with you in any way.
Yeah, so thank you. So yes, of course, like you said, we can be in contact through social media, of course. I have my website. It's www.empodera.mx. MX at the end because we're in Mexico. Anytime any of you that is listening come to Tulum, please contact me for anything, any tips, you know, of coming here, any experiences you're looking for, you know. I can connect you with also with my lovely colleagues that I have in town that do so many techniques. And you can come with me to Cenote. We can experience this mindfulness experience underground, you know. And of course, on social media, I'm also on Instagram. My Instagram account is Psicóloga del Caribe, which is Caribbean psychologist in English, you know.
Okay.
So look for me in there. Also, I have my business account, Empodera. And I'm soon about to launch my own podcast, of course, which is it's called Revolución Consciente. So if you just add me on social media or on the website, we can be in contact. I can let you know and give you all of the upgrades on how we're doing on that. I also create and curate experience for travelers. So anytime you come to Tulum, or also if you are a therapist yourself that wants to host a retreat in Tulum, I can help you organize that. I can give you all of the local kits. We can co-host an activity together, of course. And I do retreats. I organize retreats myself, you know.
Do?
Yes, twice a year on Bacalar. Next year, I'm hosting my first English retreat in Tulum also. And so we're doing a lot of things right
You're
now.
doing a lot of great stuff in the world.
A lot of great stuff it's needed. So we're putting all of the work, you know, to create that. And I'm so happy and honored to be that host in Tulum, you know, for everybody to come and experience that healing,
Yeah.
that we know it's very necessary in the world right now.
Yeah, yeah. And I've been thinking about doing a retreat with somebody, and I'm like, this is interesting. Maybe. And Tulum is an absolutely beautiful place. It's paradise. It really is paradise with jungles and water and birds and just so many beautiful things out there. So
It's just, and it's very important, to also recognize we're going through a lot of changes ourselves, in Tulum. It's a community that it's growing so fast, and we have our own challenges, and we're also like very committed in coming out with those challenges,
yeah.
work those challenges, and I think the most beautiful part about Tulum, it's the community that it's being created around that consciousness, that we're going through difficult times right now, locally and just worldwide, and the only way how I think we're gonna be surviving this crisis is by going back to communities.
Yes.
It's important to create communities.
Oh, yes, 100%. And that's community has been a big thing, especially with, phones and social media. And even though it's a great way of staying in contact, but it often does take us away from being in contact with people and in community. So,
and of course, as everything, it got ups and downs, and I think three of the most beautiful opportunities that we have in this time to create deep, real changes are science, technology, and arts, and I think this what you're doing through podcasts, and what we're allowing ourselves to do through social media, it's just the perfect combination of all of them. We need to remember communication, it's a form of art, language is a way of how we provoke that art, and I think it's so important to incorporate all of this, to do some meaningful work in this planet right now.
Yes. So yes, thank you so much, Diana Caribe, for being on the podcast, and I do really appreciate everything that you are doing in the world. I really do.
Thank you. I appreciate what you're doing also. And congratulations on this podcast.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to be here, and I can wait for the rest, for what's coming for you also.
Oh, thank you.
All of those women creating beautiful opportunities and uplifting each other, and creating community, understanding we're all one, and what affects one affects the rest of us.
Yeah.
We're here together doing this work, it's a commitment that we need to do consciously, be mindful about it, and take care of yourself. Take a lot of care of yourself. A lot of self-care is needed in this work, Don't don't lose sight of who you are in this whole process of working to achieve a better planet.
Yes. Well, I will be putting the within the description, all of your website, of your social media. So if you missed that, then I will be putting it in the show notes. So again, thank you so much, Diana. And thank you, listeners, for listening to the Viva La Vulva podcast. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.